Alright guys, welcome to this talk everyone. I decided to discuss the advances in what we call the Web 3.0 today, as we keep hearing a lot about it and the metaverse is surely a huge part of it. So for those who might not be too familiar with this, I'm sure you will find some value in my presentation. But first, a few brief words about me. My name is OJ. I have been an online entrepreneur since 2015, and pretty much since then, I have also been involved in crypto. I remember buying my first Bitcoin for about £400, and within 1 week, I took all of the money that I had in the bank at the time and I went all in. Never looked back. This is when my journey in crypto started, but in fact, I had been wanting to get involved much earlier. I just didn't trust the process. The early days were all about peer to peer money exchanges, but without the adequate platforms to facilitate such an exchange. We would go on forums and talk to people. Some places would actually require a deposit in escrow, which was possibly the safest way to go about it, but still, it didn't give me much confidence. And then I probably just never felt ready. I witnessed the first big crash from nearly $1,200 to less than 300. This made me feel that I got spared, that it was all a fad, a hype, a Ponzi. We've heard this all before, right? It then took me another 2 years to see it climb out of oblivion, and I took the time to understand why people called it revolutionary, scarce, censorship resistant, and all these great things that we all know today. It was quite mind boggling to me at first, and that's always the case with any new technology or invention, innovation, new direction. This is the case now with the metaverse and how it can transform our interactions, not only online, but most likely even our physical day to day activities. We haven't even started yet, but already we read a lot about it, and that's a good thing. We need the time to get a good understanding of it and get comfortable with the changes that it presents to us. I just picked up the latest issue of GQ magazine when I was in London last week. The entire issue is dedicated to the metaverse and Web 3.0. And since we hear a lot more about the metaverse already, I thought it would be more beneficial to focus my time on Web 3.0, the upcoming third generation of the internet, where websites and apps will be able to process information in a smart, human like way through technologies like machine learning, big data, decentralized ledger technology, and so on. Web 3.0 was originally called the Semantic Web by Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, and it was aimed at being a more autonomous, intelligent, and open internet. It will be able to interact directly with users or devices and systems in smart homes, smart vehicles, and workplaces. Web 3.0 internet users will evolve from products to owners, as technologies like non-fungible tokens, NFTs, will enable content creators to truly own their digital content. It is a strong proposition, so in this video we'll explore this next level Web3 phase of the internet and how it will affect our internet experiences or even daily lives. As you're probably aware, we are now in the second generation web experience known as participatory web and social web. Tim O'Reilly is the guy responsible for coining these terms. He is also credited with publishing the world's first website. As he describes it, Web 2.0 refers to websites that emphasize user-generated content, ease of use, participatory culture, and interoperability. In other words, compatibility with other products, systems, and devices. We don't seem to have reached the full potential of all the different uses of Web 2.0, so why are we already talking about 3.0? Naturally, you would think that we don't need to change or upgrade something until it's reaching its full capacity. With Web 1, which was the early internet of the 90s, we were dealing with more of a one-way browsing experience. This is also called the static web. The first and most reliable internet in the 90s, but it had little, almost no user interaction. Back in the day, creating user pages or even commenting on articles wasn't a thing. There were some early stages of interactive experiences like ICQ, if you remember that, or Napster, although not exactly a communication channel, but forums existed as well, not too different from email at the time, until we got broadband, and with faster speed came the ability to interact easier in real time. Websites became a lot more interactive thanks to advancements in web technologies like JavaScript or HTML5, CSS3, and more, which enabled startups to build interactive web platforms such as Skype or YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, Wikipedia, and so on. Operation systems like Linux have been widespread across the tech sphere, including powering the Android platform. WordPress was purely responsible for the birth of self-publications, blogging, a new form of journalism, and keeping the world informed. Open source software, alongside its developer community and broader user bases, emphasize the importance of ensuring that the internet is open and accessible to all. Also, Web 2.0 enabled websites to be more dynamic, more interactive, and emphasizing user-generated content, which is already a big change, but all of this gave rise to new ways of advertising, seemingly improved by precision in targeting the audiences, which turned the consumer into a product of the website owners. Within a few years of this tailored experience, the world woke up to the fact that data is being collected by every website that we visit, whether we like it or not. And not only that, but this data is being abused in the hands of corporations who even use it to change the course of elections and to direct public opinion in ways we have never experienced before. The spread of false news and misinformation has been a huge problem in the last few years, as it's growing so fast that what was once an abundance of information sources has now become quite the opposite. And with that, censorship and the fight against illicit or threatening speech has been on the rise too. This is where Web 3.0 comes in the picture. It promises a decentralized, permissionless, and open source alternative to what we have already built that will transform computing, data storage, and even peer-to-peer interactions. For one, it should eliminate freeloading third parties by giving back the ownership of private data and enabling users to monetize that data as a product. This is a complete U-turn on today's centralized model of everything pretty much. Second, Web 3.0 will enable fractionalized and mutual digital ownership of property, assets, organizations, and everything in between, leading to a trustless global macroeconomy where participants can collaborate towards a common incentive. And third, decentralized companies or organizations, DAOs, could become more resilient, where each stakeholder is in fact a partial owner. At least this is the goal. Web 3.0 aims to create this future with the help of technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things, IoT, where everyday objects are turned into smart devices, communicating between each other, communicating with other devices, and automating a vast number of daily tasks and activities. At some point, internet-connected devices will no longer be concentrated on computers and smartphones like it is right now in the Web 2.0, since Internet of Things technology will bring forth a multitude of new types of smart devices, many of which we have not invented yet. Data will be distributed in a decentralized way, which would be a huge leap from our current generation of the Web 2.0 Internet, where data is almost entirely stored in centralized repositories. And I'm not against the product or the services by centralized companies. Right now, it's still the norm that a platform like Facebook, for instance, or a service like Skype is greatly benefiting from being operated by a company with people designated for each separate branch of the business, so that everything can run smoothly and seamlessly. That's just one example of the benefits of centralized applications. And if you have ever used decentralized exchanges or other decentralized applications or platforms, you probably know that the risks of making errors that are irreversible, well, this is an important weakness that needs to be addressed. Blockchain technology is already serving the task of decentralization, and it's doing it quite well. But the challenge really is to be able to build decentralized applications that can indeed be run by DAOs, decentralized organizations, where decision making and the control is placed in the hands of the users. And we need plenty of these so that we can cover all aspects of our lives, all industries, and all use cases, which means that we have a long way to go. And we will be finding out what works as we go along, just as it always happens, since these will be the first attempts, and there's a lot of room for error, of course. Users and machines will be able to interact with data, but for this to happen, programs need to understand information both conceptually and contextually. In this regard, we need to improve two key areas: the semantic web and, of course, artificial intelligence. Semantics is the study of relationship between words. Therefore, the semantic web enables computers to analyze loads of data from the web, which includes content, transactions, or links between people. So, in practice, how would this look? Well, let's take these two sentences for example. I love Bitcoin or I heart Bitcoin. Their syntax may be different, but their semantics are pretty much the same. Since semantics only deal with the meaning or the emotion of the content, applying semantics in the web would enable machines to decode meaning and emotions by analyzing the data. Consequently, internet users will have a better experience driven by enhanced data connectivity, and many are hoping that the semantic web will be the end of disruptive advertising, which is the current standard for Web 2.0. The user experience would no longer be interrupted by never-ending pop-ups and unskippable ads. Instead, users will regain control of their precious time, choosing if and how many ads they want to see and be compensated accordingly. We're already seeing that with the Brave browser, for instance. And indeed, I remember last year Jack Dorsey was saying how if Bitcoin was around at the time when Twitter and Facebook started, they would not have been so heavily centered around ad revenue, and we would have had a very different experience on these social media platforms. Artificial intelligence is another cornerstone of the Web 3.0. We already use AI in many applications, and it is improving every year. There are many ways that it can improve transparency and user experience. For instance, online review platforms like Trustpilot. They provide a way for consumers to review any product or any service. But unfortunately, a company can simply gather a large group of people and pay them to create positive reviews for any product. Therefore, the internet needs AI to learn how to distinguish the genuine from the fake in order to provide really reliable data. Last year, Google's AI system removed around 100,000 negative reviews of the Robinhood app from the Play Store following the GameSpot trading debacle when it detected attempts of rating manipulation intended to artificially downvote the app. This is AI in action, which will soon seamlessly fit into Internet 3.0, enabling blogs and other online platforms to sift data and tailor them to each user's liking. As AI advances, it will ultimately be able to provide users with the best filtered and unbiased data possible. Privacy also becomes a key factor for the future users of Web 3.0. Sharing personal information will be optional for each individual, something that everyone wants. I mean, if we don't count the corporate owners and CEOs, of course, they want the opposite. We know that. But we're already seeing a change. Thanks to decentralized computing networks and storage platforms, users can now access a censorship-resistant, reliable, and unstoppable internet built for the masses. So Web 3.0 may be constructed with AI, semantic web, and ubiquitous properties in mind. The idea behind using AI comes from the goal of providing faster, more relevant data to the end user. A website using AI should be able to filter through and provide the data it thinks a specific user will find appropriate. An artificially intelligent web will also introduce virtual assistants, an element that is already emerging today as an aspect built into a device or through third-party applications. The idea behind the semantic web is to categorize and store information in a way that helps teach a system what specific data means. In other words, a website should be able to understand words put in search queries in the same way a human would, enabling it to generate and share better content. This system will also use AI. The semantic web will teach a computer what the data means, and then AI will take the information and use it. So to summarize, there are several key Web 3.0 features that help to define what the third generation of the web will likely be all about, namely decentralized, as opposed to the first two generations of the web, where governance and applications were largely centralized. Web 3.0 will be decentralized. Applications and services will be enabled in a distributed approach where there isn't a central authority. Blockchain-based. Well, blockchain is the enabler for the creation of decentralized applications and services. With blockchain, the data and the connection across services are distributed in an approach that is different than centralized database infrastructure. Blockchain can also enable an immutable ledger of transactions and activity, helping to provide verifiable authenticity in a decentralized, trustless manner. Also, cryptocurrency enabled. Well, cryptocurrency usage is a key feature of Web 3.0 services and largely replaces the use of fiat currency. And lastly, it is going to be autonomous and artificially intelligent. More automation overall is a crucial feature of Web 3.0, and that automation will largely be powered by artificial intelligence. Web 3.0 aims to create a fairer online environment as the next generation of the internet becomes open source, permissionless, and increasingly decentralized. But such a large paradigm shift is only possible with an array of advanced technologies. I mean, it took over 10 years to transition from the original Web 1.0, to the current Web 2.0, and it is expected to take just as long, if not even longer, to fully implement and reshape the Web 3.0. But the good news is we have already begun. Well, for a start, we already have Web3 applications like MetaMask or Trust Wallet, Brave Wallet, Brave Browser, and a few more. As you notice, these are all blockchain-based wallets. This is because Web3 is in fact a blockchain-based infrastructure. It's the decentralized web, and blockchain so far is the most effective way and the only kind of network that we've created which offers some form of decentralization, at least to a satisfactory level that can serve the needs of the Web 3.0. We still have a long way to go. Of course, the technology needs time to mature and the ecosystem will need to welcome all creators. Some Web 2.0 companies, including Reddit and Discord, have already explored incorporating Web 3.0 technology into their platforms. Last November, I remember CEO Jason Citron tweeted a screenshot suggesting that Discord might be exploring integrating cryptocurrency wallets into their platform. Well, Unfortunately, 2 days later, and after heavy user backlash, Discord announced that they had no plans to integrate such technologies just yet, and that it was an internal only concept that had been developed in a company wide hackathon. This is usually how things get tested, and as it became clear, the general public is not yet ready for the decentralized web. Indeed, there are already some pessimistic views on it, like Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter, or Tim O'Reilly himself, according to whom Web 3.0 could be defined as a bubble, and that we are actually in the middle of it, he said recently. He compared it to the dot-com bubble in the 90s, with the numerous projects and ideas being conceived, but very little product delivered. Which is true as of right now, but things get developed very fast in this new age because so many of the decentralized projects are also open source, meaning that developers of all kinds can simply copy the code, build upon it, change it, tweak it, and improve on it as they see fit. They can get rid of stuff that has been proven to be a weakness, they can add some new things, and before you know it, you have a new, fully functional product. We get to build on top of already existing projects, and thus the advance is at a much faster pace. I think that this is a huge advantage, and that we shouldn't underestimate it. On the other hand, as we're seeing with DeFi and GameFi, the new decentralized model is disruptive to most traditional services or products that we have. And these are all driven by powerful corporations or institutions who often take a hostile approach to any new developments. They do that by imposing restrictions or bans, bills, even new laws. So this could indeed hinder the progress that I'm talking about, and Web3 could fail to gain enough traction, ultimately fading away without fully realizing its potential. But still, I think though we ought to give it a shot. So this wraps up my talk about the future of the web, and specifically the decentralized web, Web 3.0 as we know it. Thank you guys for watching, and come check out crypto-corner.com, my blog, or my website ojjordan.com, where you will find some great freebies. I've published a few ebooks, some of which are free to download on my website. Things like the most used charting patterns or the most common trading jargon. I also just added a new one called 200 Cryptos in One Sentence, where I describe all the most popular cryptocurrencies in, well, just one sentence, keeping it simple and short. You can also find me on Twitter at BusyGeorgie, and you will also see it up here in the corner, so you can follow me there too. I'll be happy to connect with you, and bear in mind I host a free video podcast on my YouTube channel where I share technical analysis, news and key updates on all major cryptocurrencies to keep you up to date and to help you navigate easily and safely in the cryptoverse. So I hope you found value in this, and I'm sure you will find even more value in my videos. Thanks for your attention, and hopefully I'll see you on my YouTube channel.